All right, welcome, guys. Yeah, I was just jamming that tune out for you. But welcome to the Monday stream. Give it a thumbs up if you enjoy this type of content, guys, because we are here to discuss non-farm payrolls. That's right. The unemployment numbers are coming this week. And that means that we have some volatility on the horizon, probably, and more importantly, some changes to the yield curve, which we'll be discussing today, and some changes potentially to the crypto environment as well, as we see liquidity start to pick back up. I actually got a chart just before. I thought this would be pretty interesting. I didn't get a chance to share it onto the X account, but follow us on X. And I'll just read it out to you. So the most overweight markets right now, number one in terms of sectors and industries, where utilities are overweight by most investors, top-end investors. No surprises. We've been talking that for a while now. Bonds, second most. Clear trade, very easy trade. Obviously, a lot of people get into those. So I think that both of those not the best at the moment on the short end side in terms of being in them for a few weeks because they're quite overbought. The worst four sectors, emerging markets. We might look at those today. Materials, obviously a massive uptick in materials in recent days, thanks to China's liquidity, which we pretty much spoke about many times before it's happened. And energy, actually the lowest, which is probably not a surprise considering where we find oil at in the current session. Either way, let's have a look at the US 500. We're getting some signs of overbought action here. We'll give a shout out to people that have joined us first. Also, Mitch, thank you very much for gifting one FX Evolution membership. I believe you might have gifted it to yourself, though, but that's awesome. Thank you very much for still doing it. And we have somebody saying here, quick question, Tom. I was approached by I'll just do a public service announcement. I will never approach you for some kind of copy trading, Bitcoin, crypto kind of service. That is always a scammer. And you can tell because they won't have our tag. It'll be like, FXE Tom #, exclamation mark, underscore, or something like that. I'm sure a lot of you have had that from other providers out there. Unfortunately, it's what happens. Michael Moss says, "Good day, Tom. I've sent a request to get a ticket for your Melbourne seminar, but I haven't heard. You should have got an initial email that we've popped you into the system. But either way, you're getting your reminders this week. Of course, that kicks off next Wednesday at 6:30 p.m. So I'd love to see you there, and I'm looking forward to meeting quite a few at those points. All right, let's go through US 500 to begin with, guys. Ask some questions as well today. Give it a thumbs up if you enjoy the content. Oh, there we go, Mitch. Thank you very much. You actually gifted another one. And Adam, holy moly, Adam coming in with a monster super chat here to kick off things. Thank you very much, Adam. I'll say appreciate it, sir. $100. That's not messing around. That's a big red. Big red for possibly a big red week. So thank you very much, Adam. Much appreciated, sir. That is a massive super chat. We'll leave that one up for a moment. All right, let's talk US 500 here. And we will go down and kind of break down some key zones. So first up, we have our options high and low levels. So we know 56.82 is the low, the high 57.92. What these are when I put them on the daily show is it's basically the options market saying that 68% of the time, price will remain trapped within these zones. And they can be good kind of like pseudo resistance and support areas to attach to your chart. So that's why we do them. That's why we put them on. So that's really cool stuff. Now I've got here day trade bear zone 57.11. Now, why do I have that? Well, it's actually the most traded level throughout this range on the way up. And it kind of points towards a low possibility in terms of where we might start to see the bears getting a bit more control of this market. At the moment, it's been a melt up. So it's been slowly going higher and higher and higher in terms of higher highs and higher lows. It won't really change to a proper, bears in partial control until 56.20, 56.06 is broken. So this is probably more likely than not where the shorters would start to find trouble. And you'll notice here we've also got this anchored VWAP coming up to this zone. So I really like this as a possibility here. During maybe this week or even next week, as we've gone from a very heavy run here to almost no pullbacks. And I think that's important. You've got almost no pullbacks. Medium, longer term, of course, I'm still bullish. The signs are looking good. But this was also the resistance highs. So this was the high point just before the new all-time highs that we find ourselves at here. So again, it makes sense why this level, which is becoming quite stacked, could be a level to go for. So for some people, it's going to be like short off, see a rally, possibly look towards this as a day trade for the week. It's certainly a decent opportunity. And what I'll do is I'll move over to the Qs here for a moment. So we'll look at the Nasdaq because that plays pretty well. Anyone else got weird kind of things going on as well with their Fibonacci's and TradingView a little bit before? I don't know. My Fibonacci went all crazy. It went like flipped to the wrong side and stuff. But either way, you'll notice here that we've got a new high being formed by Nasdaq, and now it's pulling back. Now, this is important. So if we go to the Qs, which is of course just an exchange traded fund for the Nasdaq, what you'll notice here, guys, is we've made that high. Guess what we filled? Pretty much filled the gap. In fact, I'm going to actually mark that. Did we actually fill the gap? We did actually fill the gap. So we filled the bottom gap, but not the top actually. So the top gap would have been my second major resistance, which is why I had it there. Then we've come down here a little bit. This would be now a gap, which would synchronize incredibly well with the SP500 at guess what price? 56. I would like that level. Do you guys like that level? What do you think about this? Thank you again to Adam. I'm not sure if there was a question there underneath Adam's very generous super chat, but thank you for that. Appreciate it. Jeff here saying, speaking about energy, picked up some ZOM, which is, of course, Exxon last week on the replication techniques you teach. Yes, Jeff, I saw it. So hopefully that goes well. And a few people commenting here. INF, always a massive, I don't know how you're always number one to reply. You're pretty much in the top 3 repliers on every video. INF is a super person because that's some wild replying you do there. A few people are saying thank you very much and much appreciated to Adam. Talking about stock market and crypto, we will be doing some crypto in a moment. And you ask here, do you think tomorrow, the 1st of October, after the release of the data on unemployment rates, will affect negatively or should we see bullish from market movement? So I think you're probably looking a little bit early into the unemployment rates. The unemployment rates will come as of Friday, which will be the non-farm payrolls job report. So how will it interact? Well, it depends about where we are in price. So this is where a lot of retail traders, and I'll just say this, a lot of us make mistakes. I made mistakes like this back in 2007, 2008, 2009, that kind of period. And why was I making a mistake? Because I was paying attention to the upcoming news like it mattered with the number, okay? And you might say, well, it does matter with the number, Tom. Actually, what you're looking for is you're looking for flow. Ignore the number and understand that whatever the number is, your interpretation of that number is probably going to be wrong. For example, the other day I thought we'd do a 25 basis point cut. Most people did. I guess there are valid reasons now looking back on it why you might have been able to predict a 50 basis point. But even if you predicted a 50 basis point, what would that do? Would that mean that you should buy the market or you should sell the market? Well, some stats would have said sell the market. Some stats would have said buy the market. So I think what this is really getting at is it doesn't really matter about the result. It matters more about what we say, which is patience, react, and predict. In this case, where is the market setting up into these events? And Kashik says 10 coffees in Melbourne for $100. That's right. That's it. 10 coffees in America. It's probably 20 and probably about, a little bit under 20 for Australia. So that's good. But yeah, it's not about the result. It's about the price action and about the flow and where you're at. So let's say we're at 471 here on the Qs, which is, we're trying to sync here the S&P with the Qs for a moment, because of course we do think inherently these are still bullish. Well, if we're here and then we start to fly off with the non-farm payrolls, then that's used as the liquidity event to allow the markets to move towards what I call the next level of equilibrium. And that's how you should really be approaching these numbers. Don't worry too much about the number because that's going to blind you. Instead, we want to be looking at where are we in the setup. W Music says BTC, it's a cup and handle, man. Yeah, I know. We'll look at it in a moment. Thoughts on long-term rates, TLT? Some good questions here. And Kevin saying that, it's pretty funny. Can we do some Bitcoin? We will. So anyway, we want to just quickly go S&P into Nasdaq. And then what we'll do is I just want to go Russell here for a moment because, of course, the Russell has still been weak around 2260. I keep an open mind to the possibility we could rally heavy here and go towards 2280. In fact, if you were a crazy bull here today, you'd kind of like the market right here, right now for the Russell, but you'd have to put stops underneath here or here, and you'd be going towards the long. Now, I'm probably not going to do this trade, but I wouldn't blame people for giving it a shot towards the long. It's obviously consolidating, and I'm going to look for the 2260 to 2280 break close and go from the momentum after it's consolidated, all right? Because I think there could be weakness here and before strength. And we're just starting to see this in all of those transactions that I put through last week where we mentioned dark pool after dark pool after dark pool after dark pool. So many dark pool transactions. So again, Russell having problems there at that high. That's not a surprise. Again, if it consolidates, then breaches out. 2430 is the next level. That's a significant range move. It could be quite aggressive. All right, let's go over to crypto because a lot of you guys want to talk crypto. And I think rightfully so. It's at a very interesting point. It's pulled back here to one of the more traded small time frame zones. So a lot of people saying it's a cup and handle, Tom. So look, the technical concept of cup and handles, I believe they crap out at a certain amount of weeks. So theoretically, it's too long a pattern for a proper cup and handle, okay? I don't really care. I know a lot of people are sending that to me and saying, oh, Tom, it's not a cup and handle. I'm not using it as a cup and handle. I just think it looks cool. And, I like coffee. So why can't I have a coffee pattern? I'm going to have the coffee pattern. I'm going to claim the coffee pattern is working here. Look at this. It's a beautiful coffee. Do you agree? That's a pretty good coffee. That's decent value. That's decent coffee size. I like the, therefore, accumulation of the coffee. And we used one of these, actually, funnily enough, with almost the exact same theory, which is over here. Now, a lot of people said, Tom, it's not a big, oh, what am I doing here? Whoa. There we go. Okay, we're going to make this nice and, Jesus, what have I done here, guys? I've destroyed it. Okay, this one's a latte. Okay, there's our latte. So we had a latte cup and handle pattern. Again, doesn't technically meet the little brief. There's your little flag style handle. And there's our latte cup. And some people said, oh, Tom, it's not whatever you say it is. It doesn't really matter. It looks cool. I like it. I like coffee. You like coffee or tea or whatever the hell you drink. And we really care about is this point, which is the consolidation point. All right. And of course, what's happened since then? Well, it's gone ballistic. Now, I think that, again, a pattern is just a good excuse for other things to be going on. So let's have a look at the real truth. And the real truth is that we have consolidation here on the right, and therefore it looks like an awesome handle. And that's actually a pretty solid looking handle. So Thomas says, went for the latte. Went for the latte after last vid's tea combo. That's right. We're going back to we're on coffee now. So here we have the downward kind of flag potential. We've obviously got that huge pole. We've got the consolidation that's now gone for 6 months. We started this in March, and we started to see some breakout patterns about a week ago while markets got through 64.5. Obviously started to strengthen, and we've got this super downward trend line. So if you know your stats, basically if September ends bullish, and we can actually work that out by looking at our monthly. So it's possible it could wipe this off, but unlikely. So if September ends bullish, then it's only ever happened 3 times. I've shared the data on our daily show. And every time it's gone October, November, and December. Now, this is not an unknown stat at the moment because obviously I think it's been pretty heavily shared. You guys could tell me. You've got 1,200 people here. I'm sure the chat will let me know. But October, November, December, historically pretty strong. In fact, they've always been strong. There's only 3 other year reads, but it's not just that. We also know October is the best month of the year for Bitcoin. We also found out, which I'll share later, that we've got injections, it looks like, of flows. Okay, so flows are starting to increase into the Bitcoin ETFs. Again, I've got stats for this. They'll all be in our daily end show. So all of these are becoming important. Then on top of the flows, we also see central bank liquidity. This is not just the Federal Reserve. This is the Chinese central banks and other central banks around the world starting to inject liquidity back in to do what? To help these struggling, languishing economies. Now, we know that when you start to get liquidity from central banks, specifically world central banks, that usually has a knock-on effect, lagged knock-on effect into crypto. So these are bullish signs for this. And I know a lot of people say, Tom, you're shilling this, blah, blah, blah. Well, firstly, I'm not really shilling anything. I'm just talking Bitcoin. But secondly, guess what else? Guess what else happened? Does anyone else know what just started to get approved on the ETFs of Bitcoin? Let's see who's on top of this story. See, I know there's some big brains out there. You guys know what's up. So what happened, I believe it was over the last week that they're starting to think about this, or if they're not already approved it. Yeah, actually approved here. What just came in? And you guys are on this. So we've basically, it's not the ETF, it's options starting to. Yeah, it's Pelosi. Pelosi's in, baby. But no, we've got options trading, of course, guys. Options. Food stamps in BTC. Possible, Tyler. I don't know, maybe. But yeah, we've got some options going on here. And again, if you're interested in stocks, you might come here and say, I'm only interested in stocks. I don't care about Bitcoin or Ethereum or whatever. On this channel, we talk about everything. Sometimes we talk about gold and I go rampaging. Sometimes we talk about China. And I think we, as a community, I would like to think we did this together, where we some of the only ones that were actually properly bullish with replication on Chinese stocks before they got the stim. You can say, oh, it's dodgy, or oh, I'm scared of Chinese stocks. Well, firstly, I'm not saying you have to buy any particular one. We were using HSI. It's like an index. So you could go for the tech, or you could go for the HSI or something, but it's a replication trade. It doesn't mean you have to sit there and say, I've got a rosy 25-year outlook. Let's remember demographics are a massive issue in China. Therefore, that's going to be a big problem. But when you're talking about central bank stimmy, this is the type of thing you're doing. So yes, options approved in Bitcoin ETFs, the IBIT, as you guys say. So it's not so much well done to me. It's well done to you guys. A lot of people sending me relatively good, or if not very good success stories. I know a few people made some obscene money out of whatever the hell they were doing in Chinese stocks. That's their decision, but they did quite well, and well done to them. So if we now move over here and we look at the Bitcoin, has this shown signs of improvement? Well, of course, from a technical analysis standpoint, you really want to take out this downward trend line. Okay, that's true. Have we, though, started to see improvement? Taking this high out is an improvement. Taking this high out and this trend line changes the trend now to suddenly being bullish. So we're at the precipice of a very key point, I feel. Now let's go smaller timeframes. Let's go and look at the daily, because I know none of you guys care about the high time frame. Some of you do, but a lot of you are like, give me the answer now, man. Shut up. I want the answer now, okay? All right, well, let's go down smaller time frames. So we've hit into what I speculated on the weekend video was the key level, and that's 63.4. I would like to see, I'll be frank, basically around 63, 64.4, I would like to see buyers. Eric says demographics are a problem everywhere. Well, not really. In India, they're not a problem. India has a very strong demographic mid-range that's all coming into the 30s. What is this? Like average age is 38 or something? I don't know. Someone can get me the stat and share it in the chat and I'll highlight it. Pretty big thing there. So yeah, Bitcoin's back at the trade level in terms of where you'd like to see buyers. Now, buyers have come through, and I've written a little live level here, 64.7 for day traders. This is technically where the buyers will get more control. Now, I know there are some people on 1 minute, 2 minute charts saying, yes, I got in, and they're happy with themselves. That's, of course, a very, a semi-risky trade, because you have to know what you're doing right here. But again, that's why we pinpoint great levels to look at on this show and other things for you guys to then learn how to fish, learn how to find your trades and your replication systems, or, of course, visit www.fxevolution.com, plug for Day Trading Masterclass, plug, because it has a lot of replication on this. But if we get through 64.7, it's starting to look a lot better on the day trading stuff. So the the bull level could be here. And we could be at 68 and a 5 over, maybe the next week based on non-farms. It's very possible. We have a lot of catalysts here, which means that, all the crypto, I don't know, crypto people bullish or bearish at the moment? What are they doing, guys? Are they bullish or bearish? It says you are the goat, bro, for HSI call. I don't think we're goat for anything. If you want to say goat for something in particular, you would say, technically our pick on gold has been quite good since 1800 an ounce. It's just, look, that's where you have edge at the time. Some people will say, well, Tom, you could have got last week's right. Remember, from a trade perspective, you need to know when you've got edge and investing and know when you don't have edge. Okay. Crypto people always bullish. That is true. Bull but scared. Crypto always bull, but a lot of people talking seasonality. Yeah, because it's quite obvious, I think. So look, I guess they've always, you're right. A lot of BTC trader people have always been October. I did see that. October. Oh, why do I have to say these things? Crypto people scare me, guys. October. Oh, if they've nicknamed it, I saw that and I was hoping that wasn't like everywhere. I am bullish on crypto. It's the season. Oh, well, maybe everyone's going to go and talk to their relatives and convince them all that they should be buying Bitcoin into Thanksgiving and Halloween and whatever else. Don't buy lollies this year, guys. Don't buy the Reese's Buttercups. We're going to buy some Bitcoins. Either way, price action is improving. And I think that's important. And look, if we do clear certain levels, flow is flow. That's all that matters. So again, even if you have I've got to be real. The amount of bullishness I'm starting to see kind of freaks me out. I don't really like that too much. But if we get the right signs, if we see the right flows, the flow is the flow, and we're not going to have an opinion on whether too many people are bullish or bearish, as long as the markets are actually pushing the right directions and doing the right clear levels that we want. So I think at the moment, it's obviously improving. All right, let's continue here because a few people are going to ask me about gold, treasuries, and a few other things. So we'll go through all the major pairs, then we'll take questions into the open. I know we spent a bit of time there on 3, but they are important. So we've done S&P already. We've done Qs. We've done Russell for anyone that's joining us. We've got 1,500 people live. Thank you so much, guys, for spending your time here on Mondays. I do appreciate it. All right, so gold, what's going on here? I actually think it's a little bit weak. So I mentioned this, I think if you were trying to buy gold here, I don't know, you might be not insane, but certainly not as smart as you would have been a few weeks ago. I do feel like gold is starting to weaken. I think rightfully so. Now, does that mean that I think it's dead? No. I actually think this was a replication short at the moment, and I'm kind of looking for around that 25.60 level to see whether the bulls can recommit around here. I've got a couple of green lines. As you can see, we drew those basically anchored VWAPs. Obviously, I saw shorters around here, and I'm thinking that kind of makes more sense. So gold's pretty extended in the amount of bulls that are out there right now. A lot of bulls out there in gold finding their structural base. We know already that we've got this daily 20 as well. It's been respected twice, which is the moving average. And that could line up relatively well with these levels as well if we come down. So I think gold taking a breather. Same with silver for now. Now, if we clear this area, and I originally thought 31.50 would do it, but then I had to look for the weekly. And if we have a look at the weekly, kind of just got into these highs and wasn't able to breach as much as I wanted it. I think we'll clean into 34.50 in terms of the move. I still think that's very, very achievable by silver, but the market movement is not showing me that we're getting there just yet. Okay, I think, again, more pullbacks until strength, possibility of $30. What is it, $30.60? This kind of support seems like a logical kind of area. So we hit the first TP zone. We've floundered in this kind of trapped area. And for now, again, more weakness than strength until we see flow change. So that's going to be important. Yields, just quickly here, yields have come down. You can see 2-year yield right at these support low, and 10-year yield sitting kind of in the middle of nowhere land. These will move a bit off non-farm payrolls. So if you don't know, the jobs numbers are coming this Friday. That will be all important. Move over here just quickly to the US dollar. Obviously, it continues to kind of tank. Doesn't look strong on the charts. We'll see how that plays out, but still weak. Yes, we'll cover NVDA in a moment. Don't worry, it's all good. Now, people have asked me about treasuries. I've got some problems with treasuries. The first one is this was the most obvious trade for the last year. And what I mean by that is I believe Blind Freddy, sorry if there's Blind Freddy, but Blind Freddy, which is the saying I usually use, could have seen this one. Anyone would have been bullish on treasuries because it's so obvious. We're going to get a pivot soon, buy treasuries, rates will cut, everyone jump in. And treasuries have done okay. And you can see the volumes down here. There is a huge amount of vol in treasuries. So if you were buying this because you think, oh, the cuts, you've got to just change your mindset a little bit. The market expects more cuts than the Federal Reserve is currently putting in its dot plot. So the Federal Reserve dot plot looks kind of like this, and the market's like, no, we're going to cut like a recession. So therefore, if we don't cut like a recession, technically treasuries could go sideways. I've always said this to people, don't trade treasuries. Instead, if you're wanting to do it, you do it as a position or you do it as a multi-month/yearly hold. Because they're not bad. And I think that overall we're getting a 106 and we're probably going to go to a 120. 118 is originally my target over the next, 12, 18 months. I always say that because that's actually what I'm looking for. But yeah, I don't think it's a very strong position here. Non-farms will probably activate. And at the moment, if you're bullish, you're going for about a 106. TLT 95 before 105. Well, that would be relatively easy for us to call, I feel, MK, because it would only be 3 versus, what is that? A lot more to get to 105. So probably easier there. TX Red says, I trade TLT weekly. Yeah, I mean, you could do it if you want. I just think that most people won't profit off it as much as you think. BSN says copper is late. Copper is late. Yeah, so we've been doing very nicely on copper. Copper kind of exploded up here early in the session. A lot of markets did this and then rejected down. This will have liquidity trap longs. So basically, this could be a long trap. I believe this is a resistance, which we've discussed for copper. So I'm again expecting copper to come down and consolidate. These is what I've seen on the markets a little bit though, because the markets seem to have a lot of these wick highs in them. Everyone noticed that? A lot of trapping early session moves that seem to be kind of going off in the opposite directions now. And that is not a great sign if you're trying to go bullish. And I would just chill on copper if I wasn't in a position. Let's have a look at iron ore futures because, of course, iron ore also came out of the gate strong. You've got to remember that China is actually in a public holiday fest this year, this week. So that's going to, get into some of the discussion. Iron ore is very cheap right now in comparison to where it should be. This doesn't have the real list, but if you look at iron ore, it's relatively cheap. A big squeeze on this, of course, with HSI. So if you have a look here at HSI, you can see this huge squeeze. People are going so busto. I mean, does that tells you? I mean, you've got to love when you understand what something is happening. So we, of course, have talked about this at great length, and we know that the Chinese market in particular, or a lot of Asian markets, when they squeeze, it's like GameStop. And look at it go. I would not try to clear against this market. Do you know how many billions of dollars have been lost by people getting absolutely liquidity destroyed on this trade? Have you ever traded oil? Yeah, heaps of times. If you're talking about have I ever actually cleared oil barrels and took delivery of them myself personally, no, of course not. But yeah, of course, we've traded oil plenty of times. I need to get on the Dr. Copper train, but I'll do it later. Yeah. This is today's quarter on what do you think it's the big moves. Yeah, we'll talk about all this in a moment. So HSI is absolutely squeezing. A lot of people got super busted on this and they're still getting busted. I read some reports saying that some funds literally went under during this already. But you do need to put in perspective. A lot of people are saying, oh, well, it's only going to stop, and maybe it'll stop at one point and slow down. It's already quite ballistic. I think it could go even to 22,000 though before it does that. But you've got to put it in perspective of where we are at. This is the aggressive entry or the aggressive kind of movement here, and what we've been discussing all year, which is what looks like to be the base of the Chinese market in terms of out of their recession that they've been in. And again, you might say, but Tom, everything sucks over there. If I call friends that I have in Hong Kong or in China mainland, they will say, Tom, it sucks, man. And I'll be like, yeah, okay. But it won't change my opinion on the flow because they're looking at what they're being told, what everyone's telling them. What they can't see the recovery as easily underneath the hood. So this is kind of like when the general population is now starting to spot it. It could definitely go much, much wilder. But you've got to remember, in your perspective, if you're buying this for a year or something, well, of course, you're going to have to expect that you want to get like a 25, 26 in terms of price action, ideally in terms of flow. I mean, obviously, that's not going to necessarily happen. We don't know. There's always a risk, et cetera, et cetera. But things are, that's what you've got. You've got to put in the perspective of the charts. This is down a lot. It's down a lot still. From the top here in 21, we are still down 32%. From the bottom, we were down 50, which is basically a global financial crisis in China. Some stocks were down 80, 90, and there are a lot of interesting ops here now that we've started to see this play through. It took 9 months to set this out. There was actually a lot of trades in here, which is pretty good. No worries. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Do you think FXY is a good trade? FXY? FXY, is that like Japanese yen trust? Why would I do this? What is this? Some kind of like US dollar yen combo or something? I don't know what that is. I don't know what the Japanese yen trust is, but I would probably, like, as in, like, it's not a code I've traded. Probably because I'm from Australia, we don't have to trade those ETF codes. But we'll talk about those currencies in a moment. A lot of people are still going on about the yen carry. Obviously, we've ignored it on the channel because I told you it was noise, and it continues to be, relatively speaking, noise in the where you're going to get edge in markets. Let's talk Tesla for a moment in NVDA because I know a lot of you guys like that. 260 remains the call wall. I popped it into the weekend video and discussed it a little bit. It is a very important level. We did close incredibly bullish. So this is actually a very nice bull move. I'm looking, and ideally we would see the 280 for the inverse head and shoulders completion. I'm not seeing signs of necessarily being terrified of Tesla yet. Obviously, it clears 260. Positive gamma continues on. Hopefully 270, 280, 280. Some people go 300. I would say 280. We'll see what happens on the 10th of the 10th. Some people are sending me, I want to ask you guys actually, do you think that this 10th of the 10th, whatever event it is from Tesla, is this the real deal? Is this the real deal? Is this going to be a serious event that's going to seriously push Tesla? Tell us in the chat right now your opinions, and I will read them out so you guys can do that. Joshua says, I think people don't use risk management and don't give themselves a chance to have the patience. Joshua, you would be very correct. Very correct. Hedge on the Japanese trade. Yes, it's just the pure yen. Okay. Yeah, Joshua brings up a great point here. Look, it's a boring topic. If I sat there and ranted and raved about risk management, ratios, why it's important to do this, how slow and boring actually wins the race in trading and investing, no one's going to like that. If I wanted to be a bigger channel, then I could probably be some kind of crazy shill pump dump channel. I'm not going to do that either because I think it's absolutely disgusting and I don't want to do it. There's been plenty of people that have offered crazy things over the past. I remember that stupid crypto scam from years ago. Man, they were offering some of these guys big money. And of course, am I going to do it? No, it's ridiculous. It's disgusting. So, I like to think of it as the reality of trading and investing is that you've got to have a good temperament, you've got to have good risk management, and you've got to be consistent. And you've got to know when you've got edge and when you don't in your system. And that's just how it is. If you have edge, good. If someone says to me, Tom, what do you think is going to happen today? Well, maybe I'll know on one or two asset classes what I have a fairly good feeling statistically will happen. Maybe it'll be 5. Some days it'll be 10. Some days it'll be none. You know what I mean? That's how it is. I think it's a buy the rumor, sell the fact for Tesla. Yeah, it certainly could be. No one likes risk management. That is true. Luke says, meet FX. Thank you. Yes, serious impact, says Big Dog. Tell us why, Big Dog. I have heard a lot of people say 1010 is a buy the rumor and sell the event that makes me curious if it actually rockets. Yeah, I have seen a lot of people saying this. I think people are catching on to Tesla events often being quite buy the rumor, sell the fact. However, I am getting a little bit of what I'd consider relatively smart people sending me some stuff saying, hey, this news is actually bigger than you think to the market. And then 44 Max says, too much regulation to make this happen. So, yeah, interesting. People take risks until they lose everything and then they start to wake up to reality. Yeah. Do you think Chinese stock market is overvalued by now? No, that's the whole point of what I was getting at before. It's actually valued at about 12x times earnings. If you look at a chart that I shared on the weekend video, I believe I shared this video chart. Somebody can let me know in the chat if I did share it. It's basically the averages of PE ratios. Probably about 10 minutes into the video. I'm almost positive I shared it. Let's have a look at NVIDIA. NVIDIA's still stuck in the middle of nowhere land. I think it's accumulating. I'm not really look. I'm bullish on it if you're going to hold it for a few months, but you've got to remember this downward trend line, the resistance, and the gap that we got. So we got the gap fill we wanted, and of course we kind of expect at the moment the Qs and the S&P to possibly pull back a little bit. So the only reason Tesla can buck that trend is because of the 10-10 event, which means Tesla does whatever the hell it wants at the moment. Whereas if you look at NVIDIA, it's going to trade more in market sentiment. Now, this is all fine. Accumulation is a good thing. And obviously, volumes have remained relatively consistent, which is a good thing. The market has moved, though, onto some other things. And I want to mention this because probably not many people are using emerging funds. I don't really like it when markets go to emerging funds because it's a very rare time. This is something that if you look, I mean, basically, if you think about it, my trading career started here. Okay. So I remember emerging funds right into the global financial crisis, and everyone was like, yeah, man, it's emerging. Look at us go. And then this happened. So I didn't look at them again because obviously when everything crashed, American market looked damn good. And no looking back on the American market looking damn good, is it? But emerging funds have been sitting for arguably almost 20 years. It's getting on that point, and they've done not much. In fact, they've been horrible. They've had a couple of runs, all kind of more, I wouldn't even say necessarily the late cycle. They've just kind of had like a couple of little runs on them. There's a recovery. They're just horrible in general. And they did get a big flow. Now, part of this is probably China ETF being part of this, I would say, if you look at the fact sheet. But things are breaking out of consolidation. It's been consolidating for 2 years. This is certainly a story to watch. So EEM or emerging funds in general, they're very terrifying trades for most of us as traders and investors because they're not something that most of us are familiar with. Why? Well, they've been terrible for a long time. They got currency risks, so you have to use ETFs, and they're very risky from sometimes a Sharpe ratio as well. So you've got to be careful here in the emerging fund space. But EEM, they did break out. We spoke about at the start of today's video. They're pretty under probably appreciated by fund managers. They can go in late cycle. They can go in central bank liquidity of the world. This is an interesting breakout for sure. Falcon says, I like EWZ, EWJ, EWY. So if we go EWY just for a moment, see what these things are. So these are, South Korea. Obviously, that's effectively just some kind of proxy into that particular emerging market. Then we've got the Japanese fund, which would be some kind of Nikkei equivalent. I don't know about that one personally. And then EWZ would be the Brazil ETF, which has been struggling for a very long time. Obviously horrible since 2008, as you can see here. So not for the faint-hearted, but I have started to see flows in some of those thanks to the China stimmy. Can NVIDIA test 125 one more time before lower test? I would say it wouldn't do that. I would say if it tests 125 again, it's probably going to go higher. NVIDIA shares fell on Chinese rivals soar after Beijing urges AI companies to look elsewhere for chips. Yeah, that'll be forgotten 3 days later. But sure, that's a good storyline. Elon's going to buy Intel. Is that true? Elon will do a reveal. He was a Tesla robot all along with a brain chip in him. Yep, there you go. Anyone ever heard about Neuralink again? Singapore ETF has been performing well. Singapore's a great market. AMD, I looked at AMD. I know I did answer that I would look at AMD for somebody in the comment section. Thanks for the comments recently as well, guys. Yeah, so AMD is a little bit better on the price. I really liked down here at 138, 145, which I've discussed before on the channel. Obviously, it hasn't got the gap fill yet. It's kind of behind a lot of the other chips. It was pretty strong closing the way it did, close above bullish, obviously, I say here. So I think pullbacks again into bull demand. Probably not going to buy a position here. If I was having to scale and I was really bullish on the market, maybe I would. And then I would probably place more at, in the lows in here, 150, 148. But yeah, it's not quite there at the levels I like the close. I don't like the price that much. A lot of my eyes are on, well, obviously we're riding the waves at this point. My eyes are on pullbacks in gold and silver. How will they look in the next week, especially into non-farm? So these are just some of the markets I'm watching very closely. Bitcoin, I'm laser focused on. Got the red eyes for the Bitcoin, or laser eyes, or whatever I've got for it. My thoughts on US 500. Obviously gone through that. I'd like to see it drop at least 120 points from this price, and hopefully can get there. Now, a few people are asking about US oil. Are you long? I actually really like this downward trend line. I was talking about this just previously in one of our Q&As we do every week for one of our courses. And I was talking about like the big volume, the big downtrend line. Obviously, I do like the idea that oil could turn. It's at a point of interest on the 2 hour. I've written here day trade buyers will like 70 plus. I agree still with that. There are buyers potentially right here, right now, with stops below lows. Of course, make your own risks, figure it out, know your own systems, etc. But yeah, this is a very important point for bulls to hold. If they can hold it, then move through 70, I think we'll breach the trend line. If we breach the trend line plus the high at the same time, that's a good tick for flow momentum back into oil. So I think oil could get very interesting. Remember, the most under invested sector is oil right now, based on something I'll share in the close video for Monday. Coinbase. Yeah, Coin is one that we've had some big dark pool trades on. I do like Coinbase in terms of that. 3.83 down at the moment. When we found when did we find the big one? 2 weeks ago. So the big trade was 2 weeks ago. It's up 20%. It's no joke, hey? When you get big trades come in, they do all right. Volume is consistent. I wouldn't say volume is hot. I would say that the trend on a higher time frame is still down. To clear that trend, I would think you have to clear 210 or even just the 200 level. Down here at 3.79. I'm not really too scared of it. It's just kind of coming down with Bitcoin. If Bitcoin clears 68, Coin's going to do well. That's kind of the way you've got to look at it. Crushed it on Connie, which I assume is Coin. Good work, Kurt. That's cool. Martin says, I'm neither bullish or bearish at the moment. I wouldn't blame you at all. A lot of the markets in the short term here could be very neutral if you want to. Middle East heating up oil, Jonathan says. I always say that's a bit of a misconception about oil. Like, a lot of people, because sometimes you see conflict, oil spikes. The excuse is, oh, it's spiking off conflict. I've proven this several times in oil. You get conflict. Sometimes oil price will go up on the left-hand side. Then the conflicts happen. Then all of a sudden it drops. CONL. What's that? Oh, it's just, what is this? Oh, 2 times long ETF. Okay, so it's just like a leveraged version of Coin. It's wild they even have leveraged version of this stock. I cannot believe that exists. Anything exists. Dock workers strike on Tuesday. Yes, so I heard about this, and people want to know a play for it. Well, I'll let the chat decide if there's a play for it. Maybe someone has a smart point, but listen back to what I said before. Do not, under any circumstances, in my opinion, trade off minor news such as the dock play or Suez Canal gets trapped or whatever else, ridiculous piece of news that we have. Why? Because it is one piece of news that you cannot replicate throughout your trading and investment journey to replicate the same strategy you used on that time and again and again and again. What a waste of your brain space. What a waste of your brain space. Because long term, you can't replicate it like a business. You know what I mean? It's where everyone goes wrong. I'm telling you guys, you got to think about it that way. I don't know. Do you agree? Do you not agree in chat? The news will blind you and it's there for blinding you. I turned on what in Australia here we have like the 7 o'clock news or something. I don't know, 5:30, 7 o'clock. And I haven't listened to that in a while. Now, this doesn't mean I don't know what's going on in the world. It just means I don't fill my mind with 70% fear. It was 70% plus fear. It was like, this sucks. This is terrible. Conflict here. This sucks more. Now this sucks more. This sucks even more. This sucks even more. And by the way, we had a charity event. And I was like, wow, this is toxic. It was horrible. And I remember as a kid, I used to watch it because my dad liked watching the news. And I was like, this is horrible. It's horrible. It was so bad. And I don't understand why I want to fill my brain space with that or even consider those things. Instead, I want to do something about making a change. That we spoke about this on the show. VIX is going up. Yeah. Okay. So here you've got VIX up a little bit in terms of the spike. 17.19. If you get anything out of this channel, though, it should be that I'm not going to call it fake news or whatever you want to call it. I'm just going to say it doesn't help you to make the decision that is going to actually keep you profitable. Yeah, because remember, if it's on the news, this is just whatever's popular, whatever's floating around. It's unlikely at that point that it hits the news to be giving you edge. And I know where it's from because I used to have Bloomberg in the background on the channel and I used to listen to it all the time. And there's that famous quote, the professional traders have CNN and Bloomberg on in the background on mute because they don't actually want to listen to it. Hussein here says, I struggle to understand crypto like I understand the technology and libertarian fever dream. Still see no value in no military industrial complex that forces BTC down third world's throat. Okay. I'm not sure why I highlighted that. Look, you've got to perceive most things. It's like saying, why is gold worth money or anything like that? Perception, general adoption, perception, really. Why is the S&P 500 worth 22 times earnings? Is it? I would say it's not worth 22 times earnings over the long term. But right now, it's worth 22 times earnings. Mezger, I'm just going to say this here. Missed the boat on China. Need to wait for pullback to get in. Look, if you miss the boat on something and it doesn't make sense financially because the risk reward doesn't work out anymore, then you wouldn't do it. Good question on Intel. We brought this up last time in the show last Monday. Obviously, it's remained bullish for now, up down 1.51 today. So we're looking at about here, 23.55. So we're up about 4.76. I don't really see a reason to be scared of this yet. There is some signs of overextension to the bull buy area. It hasn't really cracked under something like 2043. Currently, trend is still up. Like to see it rebound here today, though, ideally. And we're looking at $26 or even $30.50. I think this is the significant chance that this is actually based off for now. I think it's unlikely to double low. So maybe this, maybe just keeps going up like that. So I think in most cases, I'm not expecting it under here. So that's there. Can't you have more than one strategy? Yeah, I got like 5. 5 strategies for different things. I don't agree. If you follow geopolitics at a deep level and technicals, you can guess at these events, maybe not professional trader. Follow geopolitics at a deep level. It's possible that you can get edge off it. I don't think I need to. Why? Because that will blind me to the overall system. And the system is gives you a clear vision of a multi-year run and the way that things start and the way that things end. So to me, if I was trying to get clarity in a simplified form, if you have a very good idea of how the system works, I don't know if you need geopoliticals. That being said, it will be there. Television news will rot your brain. It'll certainly make you feel a certain way. Jonathan says, I agree with backyards. Cool. I mean, look, again, I have a clarity through debt and I understand how debt works. And this is how I get clarity in the markets over the longer term. I always encourage people, if you don't know about Ray Dalio's concept of the changing empires, not that this will give you actual trading or investment edge most of the time, unless you actually kind of cut through the crap on it. But it's a great, top arching concept of the Dutch into the UK and into the US. And if you actually think of it this way and you actually go, okay, across the board, that's what we've got. I know we've got 4 minutes till the market, so we'll cover this in a second. Look at what we're kind of looking at today. But if you actually look across the board, you can say, okay, well, if I accept that this is partially true, then should I be looking or at least have my eye on the potential of another new superpower over the next 30 years? And if the answer is, yeah, I should probably consider that, then you've given yourself at least the option to potentially start flowing money in the future. And what you'll do is every crash that happens over the next 30 years, you're going to have to start asking yourself these simple questions. And this is what I always say. If every market went on sale tomorrow and everything dropped 20%, I ask this to you, chat. Every market drops 20% tomorrow. Which one do you buy? Let us know in the chat. Which one are you buying? Every market. I don't care. All the markets drop 20%. Which one are you buying? Let us know. Bitcoin cannot be diluted. No one gives it, controls it, limited quantity. Well, most of it's actually lost. So some people are saying India, some people are saying USA, some people are saying Nasdaq, US SPY. Most people, though, are not going to answer that they would buy the Chinese market, would they? So some people will say India. I don't blame. Some people will say that. US, though, across the board will generally be there. So yeah, interesting, because that kind of answers a simple question of right now, the US market is the best market in the world. Sorry, it is the best market in the world. Why? Best companies. All right, cool. We've done the litmus test for why we like the US market right now. Burry has been waiting over a year. I'm not sure on what he's been waiting for. All right. So anyway, today we're coming in US 500 key levels to watch, guys. Let's just quickly go over this. 2 minutes to open. 57.11, a key level to watch. One of the more traded levels on the way up here. So this could be where we see real tests between the bulls and the bears, and we actually possibly see a turnaround. If we do see this level market taken, let's say it does something like this, that I think the probably lows. And if you're just kind of waiting and you're saying, oh, I want to buy, but I want to buy cheaper, I don't think 5620, 5600 is a bad zone to be at least targeting with your systems to then look for turns in here. That is a real possibility this week into non-farms. Remember, non-farms will be 8:30 a.m. Friday morning, New York time. So that's something you want to be paying attention to. Oil is also going to be one that we're heavily watching this week on the channel. Copper is at res. Iron ore has gone ballistic. Gold and silver are both a little bit high right now, and we kind of think they could be in consolidation. And of course, the other one that's coming into liquidity here this morning is Bitcoin. And yeah, I said Bitcoin because you can see here it's come down to those lows. Now, from last week, 2 stocks that we were looking at, Micron hit res. I'm chill with that. I think that's a good TP zone off the earnings. Fantastic work for people that have got Micron. Turned out Micron was better than Intel. They were actually the same trade style. But of course, Micron got the added earnings kind of win. And we're about to see the open. So stocks to watch today. Will Tesla push the 260 plus and go back into positive gamma and start to really fly towards 270, 280? Anyone on the Tesla bull wagon since we've been talking about it over the last 2 weeks? And I know it might seem like, well, Tom, where the hell's my edge here today? Well, Bitcoin and obviously oil are both at very important levels, as we mentioned. And we have a lot of neutrality happening in a lot of the key markets. So that's why neutrality is hard. Neutrality is where you've got to get the temperament to be able to say, wait a second, oil is not for me this month. Fair enough. Out of the US election, it's certainly a risk here. Tesla is going to fly. Justin says, yep, I'm on it. All right. 58.87 US 500 before we see weakness on my charts, say anyway. Well, at the moment, we are still in a bull run. Goldman Sachs reaffirmed, by the way, 56 by the end of the year. I think that's wrong. But anyway, that's what they said. That's okay. We'll just disagree with them, yeah? All right, guys. Ding, ding, ding. We are open on the markets. We come in red across the board. We actually see NVIDIA down 2. Just remember, NVIDIA news is based on China encouraging companies over there to not use the NVIDIA chips. Again, do I think that makes any difference? No. Why? Everyone wants NVIDIA chips. Everyone. Remember the $100 trillion of CEOs that were floating around NVIDIA early in the year. Oh, hello. Hello. Can I have some of your NVIDIA chips? No. Please? No. I'll pay you 100% markup. Okay. It's a great negotiation. It's very easy when $100 trillion of CEOs floating there. So you got to remember, NVIDIA is sold out, baby. They're sold out into 25. We're clear. It's done. Easy. So do I think it actually matters? I don't. Wish I still had my Baba smiley face. That's all right. You'll find other things. Okay. So markets have kind of come in down on Russell, now up on Nas. So it's like a little bit up off these closures. The big thing last week that we were seeing across most of this kind of weird consolidation, I'll just mention it for people that haven't watched our daily show. We had dark pool trades. Now, again, if markets start to take the lows, what that's doing is it's confirming those dark pool trades will more than likely shorts or sells, which gives it, a bit more likelihood that we're actually going to move towards those lows that we were talking about. So at the moment, we've got monster dark pool trades. IVV, which is a popular code, had, I think, the biggest clusters in 2 years, which is a huge, huge key and something to be considering. People are mentioning Apple up 1.7. That's actually a pretty big deal. It's trying to breach here and hold to go to a new high, which is cool. Anyone got an iPhone 16? Look, I'm an Apple user. I'll probably buy the new Mac, whatever it is, when it comes out. The M1 chip is a good chip. I've still got an M1 MacBook Pro. It's pretty beast. I use it. I've got a studio. I've got some other crap. I do think it's good. I think that the iPhone is a Porsche 911. They slightly improve it, claim it's innovation, and then charge $2,000 for it, and then people lap that baby up. But yeah, the Apple Macs, that was a disgrace. This is a disgrace. That is absolutely crap. Those headphones. Oh, we included USB-C and made 2 colors. So what else you do in 3 years? Nothing. Doesn't matter though. Again, in my opinion, against Apple and their crap at innovation, doesn't matter because look at the price action. Kevin says, I have an iPhone 14. I try to hide it because I don't have the latest. China is not an issue for NVIDIA. The slowdown of earnings growth rate is an issue. Yes, that is correct. PDD, that's Pinduoduo. Let's have a look at PDD. Which company owns Temu? Is this the one that owns Temu? Because I gotta say, Temu's sales techniques are so crap. Like it's copy pasted, literally spinning a wheel at a casino and it goes, you win. Uninstalling it. I'm uninstalling that trash. You win. What, I win every day? That means I lose. I'm just going to lose. It's just ridiculous. Every day. You win, you win. 65% discount on overinflated price so that we can make it $10. P. Diddy. Oh, man, that P. Diddy stuff. Oh, P. Diddy. Oh, you own the P. Diddy code. That P. Diddy stuff is super, super, super bad. I also forgot to do this. I want to give a big shout out for anyone that's affected. Obviously, we have people in this community from, I believe it's Florida and other areas of America. I'm not too au fait with exactly where this Helene thing has hit everyone. In Australia, it looks terrible, what I've seen. I really hope that everyone's doing okay and they're safe and their families are safe. I think we should give some love out to everyone in those affected places. From what I see, it is a very bad one. Americans in the chat will be able to tell me how bad it really is. I think it's very sad, and a lot of people lost their lives. So, yeah, my condolences, and of course, my best wishes to everybody out there in the community, and obviously the greater communities outside of this one. And I hope that we didn't lose anyone here, and I hope that everyone kept their houses and they're safe. So I just wanted to say that because, yeah, I saw it over the weekend, and I meant to mention it in my weekend video. I'll mention it in the close. It's bad. I know what happens over there, but yeah, this looks like a bad one. So yeah. My neighbor took shelter in my house because I'm elevated by the flat plan. You're a very good person, Matt. Make sure to look after your neighbors. Absolutely. That's very good. Didier says sad times. Thoughts from Australia from Quillau. Absolutely. It is very bad. Yes, it looks terrible. A lot of people took off home insurance because of the high prices. This is what I'm afraid of, Joshua. People don't know. They went to Florida. They don't know where they bought over the last or wherever else it was. All of our bridges in East Tennessee are gone. My goodness. Yeah. Have you ever bought anything from Temu? Yes, I bought a keyboard cleaner. It's pretty good. That's it. And now I win every day. Yeah. So anyway, best wishes to anyone out there. I know there was a few people. Actually, someone lost their house, and it's quite bad. I'm on the southwest coast of Florida. Highest surge in 98 years. Holy moly! Not good. Yeah. Mass casualties, not good. Well said, Tom. Hope everyone's safe and well. Yeah. Generator running. Lucky you got one. Lucky you were prepared. Absolutely. This is when you need those MRE packs. Yeah. So you can, if you're in those types of places. Anyway, I don't know what it's like because I've never lived in a tropical place like that has those kind of things. But yeah, it looks shocking from what I've seen. All right, guys. Well, look, this week's market, obviously, we've got a very, very tough market to pick because it's melting up. Whenever you have a melt up market, you do want to generally remain bullish. We've shown how many signs you can even think of that I think this market's actually following the non-recessionary path. Tesla exploding up. Yeah, I'll answer some questions here as well. If you want to put some in, we'll kind of just answer some generalized questions. The issue is that we know that China's strong right now in the markets. We know that metals are going, but I can't suggest to people that you go and look at those and think that's a great TA buy unless you're using a moving average, slight pullback, and then you're kind of rallying it, or an anchored VWAP and you're rallying it through. I think right now the key markets to look at is what happens here in the S&P. Because I wouldn't feel FOMO. I don't think there's much point in feeling FOMO here. I'll just show you here. When you get these types of alerts, I think the proof's in the pudding that you just chill, because there's chill. There's usually chill or not really much going on. So you can see here, when you get these types of things, you just got to chill and not feel the FOMO, not feel the fear necessarily. Play it like a professional would, like a business owner would. Do you do anything every day? Not always. So we've got, non-farm payrolls on Friday. Pretty sure it'll catalyst a few good trades. Bitcoin probably at a very key point here for day traders, and same with oil. Neo W2F. Let's have a look at Neo. It should be, I would think it's flying. Yep. That's actually completion. Well done. That's sweet. This trade, I got to say, someone in our private community got this one and they mentioned it to me. And I was like, you're right, dude. And he said, but you hate it. I said, I do. I said, but it doesn't matter if I hate it because I might hate this stock and think it's been trashed for like years. I don't even know if it's a profitable company. I don't really care. When we saw this break of trend line, look at the volume and the earnings that came out from it and it broke through earnings. I was like, dude, this is a great catalyst. I actually did talk about something similar to this recently at one of the talks in Sydney. I did an event, and this is just a beautiful thing. And congrats. I mean, to me, that's a very nice TP zone here today. Up 12, hit obviously my extension on the flag concepts. You probably got more in it because of China, but I think there's a reason why people are taking a bit of prof. But it doesn't really matter. It's not about the news. Look at the volume improvement. Look at in this case, yes, the announcement. But the market was already building into that. Very cool. What's going on with Neo volume? It's huge off the news. Yeah, well, it's massive. But I wouldn't necessarily say that like this is a great day to trade it. I mean, if anything, you can see it's the extension I had on the charts. Asheville, North Carolina is gone. Wow. Tom, would you play silver now, long options November further out? I don't know what the prices are on options, but no, silver's not really at a buy for me yet. Probably want it down into the $30, $50 or $30 price range. Again, just has to be ratio, man. That ratio is important. In FL, a Tesla exploded in a garage from a flood and then it burnt down a house. Oh, good. I still have friends missing. My goodness. Andrew, best wishes to you, and I hope your friends are found safe. Let's hope they got to, I guess, I don't know if it's flash floods, then hopefully they got to a high area. I don't even know what you do. Reminds me, remember that tsunami all those years ago back in the 2000s, and the only people that survived were the people that got on those, they got on a coconut tree and like climbed it because the coconut tree had the deep roots or something, and then all the houses were blown away and the coconut tree people survived. I was actually in Bali last year and I don't know why, but the water went out a lot. You know how like that's always a bad sign. I saw people going on. I'm thinking, this is why people actually have problems. They were all like, it went out a lot. Like I said to the locals, that out more than it should be. And he goes, yeah, that's really weird. And I was like, well, I'm going up there. So I walked up. I was like, risk management. And everyone else was flooded off into the ocean and looking at like, I don't know, little crabs and stuff. And I'm thinking, nah, bro, I don't know about that. I could never climb the coconut tree. Well, we've got to get stronger so we can climb the coconut tree. Silver is in Wyckoff accumulation. Well, yeah, it's at the top of the overall accumulation window for sure. Again, best wishes, Andrew. I hope your friends are found. Family in Greensboro, everyone is okay. I'm hoping for people still stranded. Asheville, I believe, has no water. Spruce Pine destroyed too. Large miner of semiconductors. Oh. I need a drop bear tutor. Yep. You got to be watched out for the drop bears. Today has a lot of end of month rollovers that never happen, that need to happen by the end of the day. Yep. Landon agrees. And yeah, they need tariffs or China would eat away the inflation. Mm-hmm. Thanks for the mention. No worries, dude. Tom, you win every day with or without Temu. Yeah, I guess, but the bloody Temu keeps like, oh, I hate it. Oh, it's going to be deleted. Delete this thing. You win 65%. You win. Always the maximum. You know what I don't like? Because it's gamifying. And I know they've got like some little basic little thing there saying, oh, if we do this, you'll buy stuff. Well, I'm not going to buy anything. Bad Temu. The supposed demographic problem is actually beneficial for China. AI will eliminate many jobs. See reason USA dock strike and a large unemployment underclass is the greatest threat going forward. You know, Tony, it's a super interesting idea. I'm playing with this concept at the moment. I like your different thought process on it here. Now, I personally think, how is that true though? Because the demographic, well, it is a problem because you got to remember you have a massive aging population and then you've got only one person that is working. So, I mean, I personally think they're stuffed. And I know I understand AI could fix this problem, but yeah, this is an interesting one. Did you hear the recent interview with Tom Lee? He brought up the topic of late cycle and they debated whether or not we're in one. They came to a consensus we were more in mid cycle. Um, yeah, I mean, look, I can see why they would come to that concept. They would say financials mid cycle, I assume. Like, I mean, this is my own thought process, but uh, financials are mid cycle. They've obviously been doing quite well. You can see here the extension of those. Also, home builders continue to do quite well. They may slow later on, usually. So, again, this is not generally what you see late cycle component. I don't really care about the terms so much. I mean, obviously, I do say late cycle a lot, which has helped me to, I bought utilities. Utilities can also go for, as I've mentioned, multiple years. So it really depends on what your highlight is. I would say that we started a new cycling process in 2020 after the crash. So some people will say, well, we're only 2 years into the new bull market. We're 2 years into this bull market, which obviously should last around 31 to 33 months. At this point, we still have 2025 to grapple with there. But I would say we're 5 years into a business cycle concept. So yeah, I don't know. I'm going to stick with what I know and what I replicate. It's possible they can lag this thing through to 26, 27, 28, and therefore you could say it's mid cycle. I'm not going to drop positions until I feel like dropping positions, and at the moment I don't feel like dropping positions. So why? I'm not seeing the signs that I worry about. If I worry, I worry. And at this point, why would I worry? Tesla crossing 264. Yep, Tesla's doing well to here today. So you can see the market finding a little bit of Nasdaq buyers. Tesla obviously doing its own thing, and the big stocks, the ones that most people care about, only Apple out in front. Tesla probably the more exciting of these single stocks. What's this? Oh, the Pilbara Minerals. Yeah, of course. All the metals are going well. Target also. Target's an interesting one around this price. See whether it improves here. What's your thoughts on the Democrats causing a massive market crash? She's suggesting many plans that will cripple the US economy. Um, oh, I think you'll find that, like, I always I'm going to stay out of it because I think that both sides, you're going to find some crippling concepts. They won't get a lot of the crippling concepts past whoever side you look at. And that's the reality. Remember the stats. The stats are that it doesn't really matter which house win or which side wins ultimately to the market. It's going to be how they win. Do they win by a lot and landslide, or do they win by a little bit? Now, I'll only stick there politically because obviously I like it to look at the stats. So we're a stat channel, that's what we do. We stat TA, that's how it is. We're not going to get into anything else. And I ban people that talk politics because no one wants to talk about it. I'm just going to say I wouldn't worry too much unless you get a massive, huge blue or huge red wave. You get either of those red wave or a blue wave, it's going to be quite dangerous towards the market. And the market won't like that because it brings in a certain level of fear because it's a fear of the unknown. And we've been pretty well. The market, I say obviously the market's been pretty hamstrung for a while. With relatively low amounts of policy switch. The stats are that Democrats have had historically better market. Yeah, I mean, percentage wise, sure, but it's pretty close. Politics are designed to trigger your emotions so you vote. That's probably true. Certainly a wild. I've been watching from Australia. A lot of people are. I would say no one has any idea about Australian politics, but in Australia, more people, everyone knows about American politics. Everyone's talking about it. Like everyone. It's like wild. Australia, I reckon Australia is so stressed about the US politics. Both ways. There are people stressed on both sides. It's pretty crazy. Never seen it like this before. What's worse? I'm not going into it. Anyway, guys, that is fine. We will see what happens. I'm very interested to see how this plays out in October. Obviously, we know the dark pools trades there. I do want to say thank you very much for joining us here on the Monday. I know we didn't have too many interesting, we've had some pretty damn smashing Monday streams in recent times because there's been some amazing setups, e.g., August, start of September, some big vol. I expect it to get still big vol coming through. So make sure to sub to the channel if you're here for the first time. It's going to be a good time over the next year and two. And whether we're whatever you want to call it, classify mid cycle, late cycle, not early cycle, that's for sure. We can eliminate that one, and we're going to get some pretty good levels, and I think some pretty good flows across all asset classes. Remember, the thing that we have uniquely here that most people don't is that we cover so many asset classes. So we actually see the inner workings of the market from a perspective of the different flows. I am still very bullish on gold, therefore silver, and you've got to be bullish. The market at the moment overall. And of course, if things change, we'll talk about it. But at the moment, we're not going to, feel too much emotion either way here. All right, guys. Thanks very much. Don't get into the politics, guys. You all just get angry and triggered. Yeah. We know is the stats. No blue or red wave. Generally, the market's like, oh, the same thing, and they like it. And that's ultimately what you're trying to do. You're not trying to trigger an emotion. You're trying to trigger how am I going to get edge? How am I going to reassess the situation? You get a big wave either way. I don't know which one's going to be. Hey, I'm not going to be a predictor. But what I would say is that's when you need to say, whoa, 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 whoa. Let's go now, see the outcome. Okay, now we've got to consider what this looks like for the next year. Thank you so much for joining us here on Monday. I hope you enjoyed the stream. Give it a big thumbs up if you did, and we will come back to you next Monday. Things will change because we've got massive amounts of time shifts around the world. So as many of you know on the channel, I'm not going to kill myself at 1:30 a.m. So we will start earlier pre-market. So be warned, it's going to start 1 hour earlier next week. So we'll be actually not going into the live market. It won't make any difference to our analysis, though. Most of our analysis can be done upwards of 2 hours before the market opens quite easily. And that'll be absolutely fine for our swing, day trade setups, whatever we're seeing at the time. So we'll still cover that. We'll cover the macro. We'll cover the things that we talk about in the show. So don't worry, guys. Like we've always done for years now. Unfortunately, I am on the other side of the world. I'm literally down under, as they say, with drop bears, spiders, kangaroos that punch you, snakes, 6 deadly snakes that will kill you within a second, pit vipers. I mean, we've got it all, guys. Don't worry. Okay, catch up. Bye for now. We'll see you next Monday.